Hey, it's Jessica Parker. I am going to chat with you guys today about keto and about how I have something on my sweater that's bugging me. The question of how long do I do keto? Can I take breaks? And then a little bit about intermittent fasting. I have a hard time with that word, so pardon me, intermittent fasting. Because some people think it kind of goes hand in hand and it doesn't really have to. So, how long should I do keto? Let me first of all set the stage. The ketogenic diet, if you're just learning, you may not quite understand because you'll hear people say there's keto foods and non-keto foods, and that's not okay on keto. And I really have a hard time with that because the truth is that the ketogenic diet is all about a metabolic process. So you're switching your body from relying on carbs, glucose, sugar for fuel to fat and ketones. And so the way you do that has less to do with is it keto friendly or not, and more to do with controlling the macronutrients. So how many carbs, how many grams of fat and protein. And even with that being said, I personally don't believe that there's a magic number that is set in stone that everybody needs to follow. I have many reasons for that. Sometimes it can be unhealthy. That's not what this video is about. But just understand that it is about a metabolic process. So just a quick example, like I might use a recipe that includes a small amount of sweet potato or a small amount of 100% pure maple syrup or something like that. And then when you have that within a big recipe and it breaks down to like hardly any carbs, what's the big deal? Like I would prefer people to eat that way versus I don't agree with like dirty keto, which is really not paying attention to quality of food. And so you can be taking in all the like additives and preservatives and toxins as you're also paying attention to, or primarily paying attention to macronutrients, maybe calories, and that doesn't do you any long-term favors at all. So with that being said, when it comes to how long to do keto, it really depends on your body and your goals. So some people do it for weight loss, some people do it for mental health stuff like depression and anxiety, some people do it because they have autoimmune stuff, which is just really basically inflammation systemically in your body, and so trying to get that inflammation down. Some people, I mean, it can be for any number of reasons, right? So, and you might go into it like, oh, I want to lose weight, and then end up feeling like, oh my gosh, my hormones are more balanced, or I'm sleeping better, or whatever. And so you end up doing it for a multitude of reasons or completely different reasons. With that being said, the length of time, again, depends on you and your goals, but in the beginning, it's important to stick with it for a solid amount of time without wavering, because in order to get your body to switch over to fat and ketone burning, it's like taking time to convince it. And so you're training it. So you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because your body will feel like crap. It will. And it won't quite be getting the message. It won't know which fuel it's like really supposed to be burning, and you might end up gaining weight. And then there's the whole keto flu phenomenon, which is a thing. It happens primarily. You really need to be taking in plenty of electrolytes, and that again is another subject, but that's a big reason for experiencing keto flu. But if you're like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then your body is again going to be on the struggle bus and it's not going to be knowing which end is up. So that can also promote keto flu symptoms, which is not fun. And if you're like actually like puking and have a fever and like any of that kind of stuff, that's not keto flu. That's flu. That's like you're sick. So please know that keto flu is more like headache, lethargy, like, you're just feeling kind of crappy. It doesn't feel good, but if you're having any of those other signs that you actually have some kind of a bug, like a virus, that's not keto flu. So anyway, so I would definitely recommend sticking with it. I would say for a good like 3 months. I really would, at the very least, because then you're really giving your body that opportunity to completely switch over. So obviously Christmas is in a couple of days. I don't know when you're watching this video, but Christmas is in a couple of days. So it's probably not a good idea to start right now, because if you're planning to just thoroughly enjoy the holiday treats going into even the new year, then you probably don't want to do that to yourself, because you'll feel like you're failing, and it's just not true. You just set yourself up for a crappy situation. So I would wait until you're like, okay, I'm going to start like first Monday in January or something, maybe not on New Year's Day, but and I'm committed. I'm committed to these 3 months, and we'll see where it goes from there. So within 3 months, it's pretty typical that everybody's going to like get into ketosis. It really doesn't take very long, but that is dependent on the person too. If you have any underlying stuff like gut issues, if you have any like PCOS, stuff where you're insulin resistant, you're going to have a harder time. So just know that, and don't beat yourself up. There is not some, like, you don't get some magic thing that happens when your ketones reach a certain level. Another subject again. So don't sit there and fret if you're like, my ketones aren't very high. I also don't like the pee sticks. Not very reliable. Another subject again. But don't focus on that. Focus on how you're feeling. Focus on how your body is responding. Focus on all those things that I mentioned in terms of like feeling when your inflammation is going down, if you're getting better energy, less brain fog, sleeping better, losing weight, like all those things. Focus on those things and go from there. From there, I wouldn't even go into it with this mindset of I'm going to do keto for X amount of time, aside from having a minimum. From there, you just need to listen to your body and decide what's best for you. The one caveat is that I would not recommend going into keto, into a ketogenic diet, and then going back to the standard American diet. So I would definitely caution you against that, because you're just going to jack your body up. I have other words for that, but I'm not going to say it. I mean, I am not a fan of the standard American diet. You probably already know that. Not good at all for you. But if you're going into this like fat burning mode, and then you're going completely opposite, you're going to feel like crap, and you're probably going to gain weight. So I've seen that happen, and it's kind of a no-brainer, because you're just like getting your body all healthy and then going and then just dumping crap into it. So with that being said, like if you have been long-term on keto, let's say 3 months or more, and then you're like, well, I'm going to go on vacation, or it's, you know, a birthday or whatever, then I say like splurge if it's like limited. So I've been on keto for almost 3 years, but like up and down with that. So that's what I do. When I was on keto the first time it was in the spring, and my birthday's in the fall, and we went out and had fish and chips, and I had a hard cider, totally splurged, totally enjoyed it, but then that was it. And then I know what I'm doing to my body. I know that with that kind of food, then I'm not going to be in ketosis, and I just have to get back on. It was not a big deal. By that point, for me, that was over 3 months. By that point, you have more metabolic flexibility, which means your body's like, I am a fat burner. I am a fat burner and ketone burner. I love that. That's what I'm doing now. I'm over here on this train track instead of this one. So if you have like a little splurge meal, you kind of snap back, versus when you were a carb burner, and then, you know, if you're like teetering on both sides, you have to train it, right? But if you've been that way for a while, then you can snap back pretty easily, as long as it doesn't become a weekend of splurging or a week of splurging or whatever. Then you're going to have a tougher time. So I'm a big fan of allowing yourself some splurges, totally enjoying it. It's not a cheat, because I feel like there's guilt attached to that. It is just a splurge, and you're enjoying it. You know you though. And so if it's something to where you feel like you totally derail, then don't do it. Totally up to you. I'm also a fan, people have asked me, do you carb cycle? I am a huge fan of carb cycling. So I will add in some healthier carbs that I would not normally have on keto, or maybe very, 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 very limited on keto. And so I will do that. I am not one to sit here and track everything. I think it's important when people are starting to track, so they figure out, oh, like this is what this is going to look like in my diet on a daily basis. Like this is what however many carbs look like, or how many, you know, you have to really kind of track to understand that, because it's kind of a weird concept at first. But with that being said, for me personally, when I carb cycle, all that means is I'm going to like let myself splurge on like some healthy carbs. I'm going to add a little more like starchy veggies. Like I'll have an acorn squash, or like half an acorn squash with dinner, or sweet potatoes or something like that. That's what that means. That doesn't mean I'm going out and having like pizza and you know, pasta and all those things. Sure, if you want to do that every once in a while, once you've been on this for a good amount of time, that's fine. I personally feel like crap when I do that, so it's not really something that I do. But take it all, and you have to do what works for you. The goal is to feel good. The goal is to feel good. Little bit about intermittent fasting. That is where you are basically like closing your window of time that you eat. So instead of like, I'm just going to eat whenever, it might be that you don't eat until noon and then you stop eating at 8 p.m. Or it might be a shorter window. There are many different ways of doing it. There's no right or wrong. I personally do it kind of on accident, just because on the ketogenic diet, I'm not even hungry. I've never been a big breakfast person except for breakfast for dinner type of thing. But in the morning, I'm just not hungry. I have my coffee, and then I can work out that way, which is amazing because it didn't used to be like that. I'd have to have some kind of carby snack, like some kind of bar. But so then you're allowing your body that longer amount of time to be dipping into fat stores. So that's a really good thing, and it allows for your cellular detox to happen better. That's, again, something that I'm going to dive into later because it's a bigger subject. But intermittent fasting does not have to be part of keto. And keto, like, they are totally separate things. A lot of people do them together, but they can be completely separate. I think keto makes intermittent fasting easier because you've already trained your body that fat is its fuel, fat and ketones, and so it's going to be a natural process. If you're used to eating SHIT or lots of carbs or lots of processed crap or whatever, and then you're like, I'm going to do some intermittent fasting, you probably are going to feel like crap and you're probably going to hate it. So keto makes intermittent fasting easier, much more natural process, but you do not have to intermittent fast on keto. If you have thyroid stuff, if you have adrenal stuff, I would caution you against it. I really would. If you're trying to go super low calorie, there's a big difference between intermittent fasting and going low calorie, because usually with intermittent fasting, your small window of eating, you're not really like focused on calories, you just eat. But if you are really like restricting calories, you can absolutely damage your thyroid, in terms of meaning you're going to slow down your metabolism. So I hope that helps. If you are new to keto, then I just hope that that gives you a little bit of, okay, so I mean, it's all about just feeling good, you guys. It really is. And getting your body to like get rid of the junk and get rid of the like blood sugar craziness that the standard American diet promotes. I'm starting a new 4-week program on January 6th for women, Keto for Women. It's all based on holistic eating, so it's nutrient-dense foods that are minimally processed. We're not eating all the junk. So I feel very strongly about getting really super nutrient-dense foods into your body. So we do eat veggies. We do eat veggies. So that is, like I said, January 6th. If you want to sign up now, today's December 23rd, you can get instant access to the materials. And then January 6th is when my private Facebook group starts. So everybody will go in there, where I'm going to give tips and guidance, and you'll see me on video in there. You can ask questions and we can interact and cheer each other on. It's lots of fun. All right. You guys have a wonderful day. And if you're seeing this before Christmas, have a wonderful Christmas. Bye.